We're the indie project Bee and Theo, and we've been living and travelling the world in vans for the past 6 years. We're currently renovating an abandoned stone barn in Portugal to turn into a beautiful tiny home for us and our cats Ginjey Bear and Furrnando. Follow our journey from the very beginning as we document the whole process of creating an off-grid home. Hello everyone and welcome back to another instalment of our Portuguese barn conversion series. It's a beautiful day, summer is just around the corner and it's definitely going to be a scorcher today. Thank you so much for all of your lovely comments from the other video. We're feeling a little bit better than we were, but we're still not 100%. I'm just currently in the chickens' outdoor enclosure doing my morning routine of topping up their water, topping up their food, giving them some greens, and I've realised I've not shown you the babies for a while. They're actually 9 weeks old now, which means that we can clearly tell that Willow is a William and also a complete doppelganger for Betty, who was our beautiful cockerel who we lost a few weeks ago in a mongoose attack. So he is now Betty version 2, which is actually really lovely, and I do keep accidentally calling him Betty. But in here, the enclosure is great because they're protected from the mongoose. They've got loads of roaming around activity. We recently put some shade netting up, which actually works really nicely. I'm sitting here right now, very cool, and I can see Theo behind the camera absolutely sweating. So the chickens are just all inside laying their eggs.
Right now it's time to tackle the inside of the barn. As you saw before, there was dust kicking up everywhere. It's an absolute state and it's time to tackle that. We got some fresh gloves, which is going to be nice. We got some paper suits for like painting and decorating, so we're going to be covered from head to toe. Full biohazard mode.
We have got masks, but I've just realised they're up at the caravan.
We've got our masks that we need to go and get. It's probably the most important part.
Yeah.
And then in here we have our wet and dry vacuum. So pull the accessories out of here, see what this looks like.
Oh, it's shiny and new.
And now we are going to put this thing through absolute hell.
we ended up getting new masks entirely because our other ones, the filters weren't the right grade and we couldn't find filters to replace on our current masks, so it was easier to just buy a completely new mask with the higher level grade filters in. For some reason that was the right tongue twister for me. These are P3s, so they're pretty much the highest you can get. No dust will be getting through. Come on, Lime, you're not touching us anymore.
I feel so protected. These masks are actually more comfortable as well.
Good.
As Bee said, they're P3, so we're super protected. I'm covered head to toe. There's not an inch on show.
Except for your eyes.
And I do need the toilet, but
oh no. Well, this is made of paper, so it can act as
and
a
it's
two
bright
in
white,
one.
so if I do end up going to the toilet and have an accident, you're gonna know about it.
No, we just don't want any of the dust getting on our skin because it's going to be quite dusty today.
Yeah, it's
but
gonna
once
be
it all settles, it'll be fine.
Exactly. No, I'm looking forward to having a clean barn again.
Me too.
So that was a huge success. The mask, or at least the filters, were absolutely amazing. I was just breathing in fresh air, so I'm way more confident now we've cleaned out. Well, I cleaned out 2 wheelbarrows full of lime that was just on the floor and it was all dusty and breaking up, so that's out the way. Bee's done a fab job at hoovering. The one thing that didn't work very well is this suit. It's just a bit rubbish. I thought we were going to get, you know, 3 or 4 times out of these uses.
They ripped almost instantly, didn't they?
Yeah, as soon as we did one lunge, they were just ripping, and then as soon as I went like that, it ripped on the arm. It's just like, oh gosh. Anyway, job done. It's a big job, and we feel so much more confident working in there now.
Finished with the cleaning up in the barn. It was hot and sweaty work, but thankfully we've now got a lunch break and we decided to go to the lake because we need it to cool down. We're reaching that time of the year where it's getting way too hot to work throughout the whole day. You've got to take a break, and I know that the lake water here is always nice and refreshing, so I'm looking forward to getting in it. And Theo's also brought his boat, so he's going to go for a little paddle as well.
Just arrived at our favourite location at this particular lake, and I think this is like the 10th time that we've been here and no one's here. We have the place all to ourselves and it couldn't be more gorgeous. It's just stunning. I mean, check this view out. Not bad at all, is it? And we have this peace and quiet, tranquility to just hang out and cool down a little bit.
Lunch was a build your own jobby sandwich, which sounds like something I've just coined, a jobby sandwich. Theo had tuna, tuna and cheese and tomato. Did you have tomato? No, he didn't. I made the sandwich as well and I've forgotten what I put in there. And I always had good old cheese and tomato. We've got some strawberries, some fake M&Ms, and it's just a really nice place to sit and look at the water. I'm just letting my food settle before I go in, brace myself. I've not actually tested the temperature of the water just yet, and once Theo's food settled, I think he's going to go out on the, is it kayak or a canoe?
Kayak.
He's going to go out on his kayak, I always get it wrong, and have a little play around. And then once all that's done, once the temperature's kind of going down, although it probably won't be, we'll be heading back home.
It's so lovely and warm, I cannot wait to get in the water, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I've got my buoyancy aid, I've got my spray deck on so no water can go in my kayak, and I'm going to go on a little adventure out into the lake and see what I can find. This is the absolute dream, just hanging out in the middle of the lake. It's so calming and peaceful being on the water. I absolutely love it, and I used to spend so much time when I was younger traveling around the country, traveling over Europe and competing in races. I would compete in whitewater racing, so that's basically from the top of the river to the bottom of the river, down rapids and waterfalls as quickly as you can, and whoever's fastest wins. It's a very simple concept and very enjoyable, but it's so nice to be back in my kayak. So much fun.
It looked good. There's a bit too much of a bank.
Absolutely love it. You should have a go.
No thank you. That boat scares me. It's so like moves around a lot. I can't even think of the words to describe it.
If there's any playboaters who are watching this, they know all about the pain, especially when you got size, what have I got, 14s?
Size 13.
13 feet, US 14, and yeah, my feet aren't designed to go in these boats, not at all, but I take the pain because it's fun. Not the pain's not fun. Going out on the water, messing around, going down rivers, and that's something we don't really have much of here. We don't really have any whitewater rivers in Portugal, so it's quite sad actually, but we have beautiful lakes, so what better way to spend the day, you know.
Look how clear the water is. It's so beautiful, and in these sunny bits it's actually quite warm, which is lovely. Oh, I've just gone a little bit deep. You what? Are you freezing? Ah! Okay, this is so awkward holding the camera.
The nether regions. It's definitely a lot warmer. It's so much warmer than it was before.
Oh yeah, with the sun out, as 100%. I say that the sun goes in, but with the sun out, I think it's like 32 degrees today, and going in this water feels so good. And then I keep going in a really deep bit, so I'm having to like swim and hold the GoPro, which is really awkward.
Usually it takes a little while to get acclimatised, but actually today, I nearly fell over. Today it's so nice, like literally within 5 seconds I'm feeling like the water's warm. And I kept my buoyancy aid on so I can just vibe around and just float like I'm on a cloud.
Lounge, have some lounge time.
Chilling.
It doesn't look warm at all because the sun's gone in now, but it is so lovely. The breeze is warm as well.
I'm just gonna float off.
Who needs a kayak? Made it back home. We ended up staying a little bit longer at the lake than we'd planned to, but that's because it was just so nice to firstly cool down. Like I said earlier, it's a hot day, and secondly, because you know we've not been feeling that great, everything's taking a little bit longer than normal, so it was great to just take some time down at the lake. And the temperature's dropped a bit now. It's only about 28 degrees Celsius. The sun is still out, so we can still get on with some much needed work.
So we've got about an hour before the sun sets, which is just enough time to render our pool floor. I was going to actually render the whole thing, but we haven't got enough time to do that. I don't want to rush it, so I'm just going to do the floor, which makes sense. I can get the floor done and then I can render the sides another day. The reason we're doing this is because we actually filled it the other day, and it was a really useful exercise actually, because the water drained out of it the next morning, but it was still damp around the cracks and around where it was letting the water out, so it showed us where we needed to actually seal up, which was quite a few places actually. So we're just going to render the whole thing on the inside and do the whole floor again, because we want it to be watertight. We don't want to fill this pool and then come down on a really hot day and be like, oh, it's empty.
And also, sitting next to the wall, as you can see, wasn't the most comfortable thing, was it?
It's really abrasive. This stone looks beautiful, and that's why we wanted to keep it natural stone on the inside, but it looks beautiful from the outside, but on the inside, we sat in it and our backs were kind of rubbing against all the abrasive stone. It wasn't very comfortable, so I think this is going to be so much nicer, rendered, painted, and a finished product.
Right now, Theo is mixing up a small batch of sand cement, just enough to cover the floor, because we're going to be doing the sides another day. So we've got this amount of cement, which we're hoping will be enough, otherwise we've got to go up and get another bag, and we just thought, fingers crossed, let's see how it goes. Are we using a coarse sand?
Coarse sand.
A coarse sand, and then in here we've got the special waterproofer that we add to it as well, and it makes the consistency really, really nice. So Theo's actually doing a very good job for his first time ever rendering like this before. It's very different to lime, isn't it?
so different.
He keeps saying it's a totally different experience, and if he was doing the barn like this, it would be so much easier. But we'll never know, because we're never going to be doing the barn in cement, so he can just enjoy doing it on this tiny little pool. But he's doing really well and actually nearly finished now, which is great. It's been a lot of fun to watch. I much prefer watching than having to actually do that, because he's been literally bent over a granite stone for about half an hour now, which looks very uncomfortable indeed.
I'm just sloping it so the water can naturally run out, because we don't want big pools of water just left in there. Oh,
Is that mozzie?
biting fly.
Oh, biting flies are horrible. Almost worse than mozzies, because you can't hear them. They're just there biting you. But yeah, we had a natural slope to the pool already, so Theo's just followed that slope, which is handy.
A little bit.
Is it handy or a hindrance?
A little bit of both, but I'm trying to make the slope actually to the pipe a lot steeper.
Good idea. Oh
Because
yes, I see.
we was getting water kind of surrounding the pipe that wasn't running out, but now it should just flow freely.
Check it out, Theo has done it. It looks amazing, and we need to cover it up before any flies or cats or things get in there and wreck it. It has just gone at 9 o'clock and we're beginning to wrap up the day. I'm gonna make dinner now, and Theo's gonna go into the van and start sorting out all the footage, because there's no rest for the wicked. This is basically our daily routine. Theo will take all the footage that we filmed for that day and get it all onto the hard drive and ready for editing. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you on the next video.